KFOR.
Good morning, Lincoln, Nebraska. Happy Husker Homer Friday. It's Elijah Herbal, Caleb YZ with us here on a Friday morning. He's plugging the headphones in. I don't know if you can hear a thing I'm saying just yet. He's got the headphones in. We're all set to go. Happy Friday. Happy fall sports season. It feels like it's officially kicked off after the events of last night. And looking forward to a weekend, 8 days now from Husker football. 1 day from the start of major college football. It's here, folks. And then, not to mention, 2 Sundays from now, you're talking about week 1 of NFL. Is it fair to say the college or the football off season is over? We had high school football last night. We had some college football last night. None of it really on TV, but it was out there. Week 1 tomorrow. I'm officially dubbing today the day the off season is over.
I can get down with that.
I know some people say the beginning of fall camp. Look, if there's not football on my television, real football, not preseason football, real football. We got real football on the television now. We got high schools officially kicked off and underway. I'm dubbing it. Football season is here. Fall sports season is here. As last night, Husker volleyball spikes under the lights. Impressive performance from the Huskers. From what I understand, a less than impressive performance from the people putting on the event. We'll get into that. I mentioned high school football. Jeff Motes, the Almanac, joins us in hour 2, as we'll be talking that exciting Lincoln East and Lincoln Northeast game you heard last night on KFOR. Coming down to the wire, Lincoln Northeast gets a huge victory over these Spartans. I'm not sure we're going to call it an upset because in high school football, it's season to season, especially in week 1. You don't know how good anybody is. But a great performance from the Rockets last night. We'll get Motzi's take on that and the other games going down across the city of Lincoln and the state of Nebraska today. It's a huge performance from Omaha West Side last night against Creighton Prep. You see the final score on that one?
I did not.
Hold your horses here. Let me make sure I have the right final score. It wasn't close.
I've heard Prep's supposed to be pretty good, too.
The final score last night was Creighton Prep 10, Omaha West Side 42.
Whew.
Yeah, and I think that thing was 35-3 in early third quarter.
I mean, that rivalry, though, that West Side and Prep rivalry, they get pretty nasty. So I think West Side maybe had a little bit more juice coming into that one.
Lincoln North Star last night in triple overtime takes down Norfolk. Whew. We'll have to get into that one. And then down in Class B, defending champ Waverly, they defend their title 42-7 final last night. Waverly gets it done. But we'll get all the high school football thoughts from Jeff Motes in hour 2. Maybe some NFL, some more fantasy football thoughts maybe. We did that last Friday. Yeah. It was kind of fun. I think we'll dive back in some more fantasy football thoughts at some point here in this show.
Jeff Motes.
Yeah, no, not from – don't trust him. See, from what I've heard, I'm not sure if you can hear us or not. You're sitting across the glass. You don't want your fantasy football tips from one Chris Schmidt either.
Really?
He tag teams his fantasy football team with his son, and apparently it was rough last year. Now, I don't want to say one bad fantasy year makes a bad fantasy football player, but if you're outsourcing your day-to-day operations of your fantasy football team to your son,
are we saying Chris Schmidt doesn't know ball?
I don't think we're going to say that. Because he might be listening.
Words, not mine.
Nope.
The morning hookup on KFOR.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's what I get for that.
It is the morning hookup on KFOR. So maybe some fantasy football thoughts, and we'll also preview the Week 0 slate of college football, which we let off with. But let's start off spikes under the lights. Okay. Let's start off with the performance from the Husker volleyball team yesterday. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say perfect. Florida was a good volleyball team. The Huskers had to settle into things a little bit last night. They used some big scoring runs in both of those sets against Florida to go get it done. It did feel sacrilegious to be playing volleyball to 21. I will say that. Mm-hmm. Every single time you get to 20, it's like, this doesn't feel right. 21, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Best of 3 felt strange. If I could get down with it, it was the 21 that felt so weird to me. But I digress. The Huskers, they get it done. They look good. I like some of the young pieces, but I mean, it's Harper Murray, it's Andy Jackson, it's Bergen Riley. Those three. If Nebraska wins a national championship this year, which that's what we kind of talked about yesterday, the expectation, it's so tough to set the bar that high. But that's what this team is about. That's why they schedule so difficult in their non-conference. You're playing in the Big Ten. You're one of the, if not the highest paid volleyball roster in the country. I'd probably venture to say highest paid volleyball roster in the country.
Mm-hmm.
This core, you don't want to get to the end of their careers and ask the what if question. Were they the best to never get one? It feels national championship or bust this year. They're good enough to go do it. But hey, volleyball is also probably, as a sport, top to bottom, the most talented it's ever been. Florida had some great players yesterday, but Nebraska's talent shined through. You can see that. And then the SMU match just kind of felt unfair.
I think Siegler had a really good performance last night. Terai Siegler. I think she led the team with kills. Really impressive for a sophomore to come out and do that.
I mean, she did fresh off winning the lifter of the year. You saw the work, the development that she put in.
Mm-hmm.
Looked like a different player last night. I agree with you.
The story of this team being the seniors and the depth and the older players, and then you get that performance from her. Really, really awesome. And then obviously Virginia and Andy doing their thing as well. You don't want to take too much away from an exhibition. Does last night show you anything like concerns or any problems? Is there such thing as too much depth, or I don't know how to put it. You don't know where to move players and where to substitute people when you have so much good talent?
I don't think so. No, not at this point in the year. You're always looking for competition. It's great to have pieces, as we saw during the NCAA tournament run last year, pieces off the bench that are experienced and highly recruited, because you never know what can happen throughout the course of a season with injuries, with sickness. Things happen. Depth of talent is nice to have. It's tough in this era of the transfer portal to be able to stack the talent that Nebraska volleyball has on roster and keep them year after year and develop them and make sure that your development is not the beneficiary of another program. But I don't think so. Though it is interesting to see a match last night with money on the line where you're rotating in players that we're expecting to be primarily bench players this year. It feels so strange. And the talent level does not seem to drop on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
As we've talked about plenty of times last year, this year, take the starters for volleyball off the court, everyone off that bench, put them on the court. They're still a top 10, if not top 5 volleyball team in the country.
Yeah, that's the funny part is, we can sit here and say, yeah, they didn't really play, up to their standard, and they still kind of dominated in a way. They still went out and won easily. So
it was the start you expected.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever this event got announced, okay, they're playing all these matches in one night, and Nebraska's there with SMU and Florida. You kind of sat there and went, oh, Nebraska should win that.
They're going to run the table. Yeah,
they do. The real test is upcoming, as we all know. Well, first off, don't want to overlook UNLV, but Texas. That's the match you're ramping up to. That's the match that I think early in the year this team is going to learn a lot about themselves. I think they learned some things about themselves last night, but this is a core that's been together for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And as I talked about, the expectation being national championship, that's the match you're kind of you've had circled. We'll see how that goes. Don't want to look too far ahead, but a performance you expected on night one from the team. Now from the event, it felt weird on TV, did it not? A little bit, like the lighting in the arena felt a little bit weird. It was weird to have those shots where, I mean, you're seeing how far away the crowd is from the court. It's one thing whenever it's at Memorial Stadium. It's another thing where you are just a volleyball court smack dab in the middle of a football field.
Yeah.
Felt like maybe it would have been advantageous to put it to one end zone and kind of shrink the size of that place just a little bit. I mean, you still had 35, 40,000 people in there.
Most of them Nebraska fans.
Most of the Nebraska fans, 100% right. But with 35 or 40,000 people, which is a great turnout for volleyball, did it necessarily feel like that? Did it come through on television that it was that highly attended of a volleyball match?
No, not really. It was just the depth perception was very weird. It didn't feel like a true volleyball match where like the fans are kind of like on top of the court and you can feel the atmosphere and everything and everybody getting into it. It was kind of like people sitting in an auditorium, with something center stage. There wasn't that energy and atmosphere around it. It was pretty awkward, was what the kind of vibe that I got from it.
Yeah, and from a friend I know that is in the professional sports scene. He's not the event planners for these big events, but he goes to plenty of them, gets to see how the top events operate. He said it felt like it left a lot to be desired inside the arena in terms of the production, and you wonder how much of that production money went to the payouts you're giving the volleyball players for winning the whole thing. But some of the things he talked about was like outside, like how Jerry World's got that big concourse on the outside, nothing going on the outside, where it was
Really?
just people taking tickets at the door. There was no merch stands, like in timeouts in between things. There's no like fan contest down on the field. It was just the same canned music with crowd shots of people for 30 minutes in between matches.
Oh God.
Yeah. They had a musical act that was just a cover artist that no one really knew of. Let's see. Really quiet on the inside. He said the general feel he got was like a JV event.
Yeah, and there's no immersive fan experience or anything going on.
No, it was just, hey, welcome here. Thanks for your ticket. Go sit down, watch some volleyball.
Sit down and be quiet.
And he said like the environment in there, because it was such a large arena, just felt kind of muted.
Well, even like you go to a basketball game at Pinnacle Bank Arena and you have just like stuff going up on the screen, like little games and stuff, like they'll hide something behind some, I don't know, some buckets or something, and do the thing where they move it around. And did they have anything like that going on, or just
no?
That'd be so weird to just go there as a fan, and in between matches or like commercials, you're just kind of like looking around and hey,
they're just playing some canned pop music with crowd shots every single TV timeout. Essentially, was what the vibe was.
No merch or anything either.
No merch.
Just that's
again, I'm sure a lot of the money for this event last night went to the direct payouts that you're giving NIL wise to the players. We'll see if this is an event that comes back. I guess I'll put it like that.
Well, that context, hearing that, and then putting together like how it looked, the production on TV, makes sense. They kind of work hand in hand with each other.
And another thing he talked about was the fact that like around the arena, all the lights were all dimmed down. They're going this under the lights thing, so it's like lights on the court, but like apparently it was still kind of hard to see because of how dim it was in the arena. In the dark court, I think also added to the kind of made it look a little weird. Regardless, Husker volleyball season is underway. Maybe the event planners learn from this. Maybe this isn't an event that comes back. I'm not sure, Jerry World, though the event was cool on its face. I'm not sure how they planned it, made it the best for volleyball.
Yeah, I did see some people on Twitter saying that this Spikes Under the Lights event could be a one and done. We'll see, I guess. I think it's good for the university. It's good for the players to get some exposure, get some real game reps early on in the season, but maybe need a new production team. So we'll see how that goes.
We shall see. Spikes Under the Lights underway, though. Husker volleyball Spikes Under the Lights in the books. Husker volleyball season is underway. One more thing I'll say, actually. I feel like SMU was at a pretty severe disadvantage having to go play back-to-back.
Yeah, that's tough. Extremely tough.
You'll get the win, and then it's like, hey, was it 25 minutes in between matches where it's this weird, like, yeah, it's not enough time to, like, really stay truly warm, but it's also, like, enough time where you do have to, like, intentionally stay up and moving. Tough situation to put them in, which is the weird part about kind of doing this tournament.
Again, also, by the way, you have to go play the number one team in Nebraska, number one team in the nation.
After a 25-minute cooldown period.
Yeah.
And listen, on the volleyball circuit, regionally, youth and high school level, it's something that these volleyball players aren't completely foreign to, but at this level, it's not something you see very much. So anyway, interesting event last night. We'll see how it goes this weekend. Vegas, as the Huskers stay on the road. They go play T-Mobile Arena this weekend, UNLV in Texas. That's what we're looking forward to this weekend with Husker volleyball. But the Huskers, exhibition-wise, 2-0, Real season gets underway on Saturday with some money in the bank. That'll do it for us here. First segment of a Friday edition of the Morning Hookup. It's Elijah, Herbal, and YZ hanging out with you today. When we return, we'll talk some football. College football week 0 on your TV screens. Well, kind of beginning last night, but really gets underway tomorrow. We'll preview some of the games, some of our thoughts, what will we be watching, that and a whole lot more coming your way in the Morning Hookup after this.
I had never really drank Celsius before, and I started like this week, and I found that I don't know if these have more caffeine or something, but they get the temples buzzing a little bit more than Red Bull or Monster does.
Have you had have you had the fizz-free Celsius? I guess if you're a new Celsius drinker, the fizz-free one is interesting. I like that one.
Do they have any sugars in them?
I don't think so.
It's like that's their whole thing is like 0 sugar, 0 calorie. So just pure caffeine straight to the brain.
One thing I think is interesting about the Celsius is I feel like it doesn't stick with me, which it can be nice, as I feel like it hits me hard for like an hour and then it wears off pretty quick. Which sometimes is what I'm looking for, sometimes not. I guess we'll see what you think.
They do kind of caffeine content 200 milligrams. Okay. Yeah, I like that sometimes where the hands start shaking a little bit. Ready to go.
On a road trip.
Yeah, absolutely. Had Arden in last night?
Yeah, for the Average Joe show.
Nice.
Welcome back into a Friday edition of the Morning Hookup. It's Elijah, Herbal, and YZ in with you on a Friday. Bill Hooks, believe it or not, how about school guest speaker today?
Mm-hmm.
He'll get to tell us a little bit more about that on Monday. He is heading off to middle school and speaking to a room full of middle schoolers.
And I think by the way he brought it up to us, he was very excited to do so.
Yeah, who wouldn't be? Get to share your life experience with America's future. So cool opportunity for Bill Hooks. That's where he is today. He will be back with us on a Monday as we kick off a Husker game week next week. But this weekend, we kick off the college football season. Do you want to call it officially or unofficially with week 0?
Officially.
I have my problems with calling it week 0. Why don't you just call this week 1 and everyone else starts week 2?
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I don't know. I don't. Makes no sense. But I mean,
because the implication with 0 is that it doesn't actually count.
Right.
There's zero. Zero indicates nothing. So it's not a week.
It's the week before week 1. I don't know. College football is so
If,
weird.
if college football is starting this weekend, isn't this the first week?
Yes, that is how that would work. Zero is not. I don't know. That's a whole confusing discussion. But we're 14 hours away from college football.
But who's counting?
Oh, I am. Me.
It's a slate
It's
of.
It's not great.
There is a minor intrigue.
Yeah.
You look at Friday night. We'll start there because Thursday night had a whole bunch of games that were far from major college football. I couldn't tell you anything that happened last night. The college football was not on my radar. Simply put,
you weren't watching Mercyhurst versus LA Christian?
I know. Houston Christian was playing Southeast Louisiana, and at Houston Christian was a big underdog. I was surprised to see them as big an underdog as they were. Let's see. Is the result in
absolute barn?
Wow. Houston Christian, the underdog, gets a 34-28 win against Southeastern Louisiana last night.
There we go.
They are now first in the Southland Conference. What a performance from the Huskies.
See, I think their shellacking by Nebraska last year got them ready for that performance. So,
but tonight, Fordham, a team that we all remember well around here, they got Colgate. They're 10-point underdogs. Rhode Island takes on Merrimack. You got Cal Poly and Idaho. See, this is what I'm talking about with week 0 just being like, ugh. Saturday's a little bit better for you.
Mm-hmm.
TCU and North Carolina kick things off tomorrow morning in Dublin. TCU is an 8.5-point favorite.
Yeah, both teams look a little different this year.
Can we talk about the curse that seems to be whoever loses the game in Dublin? Even the team that wins the game in Dublin.
They've had losing seasons the last 3 or 4 years, I believe.
Well, and I think Northwestern won in Dublin. What do they do the rest of the year?
Lost every game.
1-11.
Yep.
That's going to go down as one of the worst losses. I know you just a couple weeks later turn around and lose to Georgia Southern, which was bad. But you could argue the Northwestern loss was worse.
I think so, especially
they're both very bad losses. But you snatched defeat from the jaws of victory by being stupid in Dublin.
You had a 2-touchdown lead and
against a team that would not win another game. That's bad, man.
Yeah, that was. And for the first half of that game, especially the first drive, I was like, "Oh my God, we're winning the national championship."
That Casey Thompson touchdown pass to Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, corner of the end zone. You're like, "Oh man,
yeah."
Nebraska got them. They upgraded from Adrian Martinez.
Yep.
And later in the game, remember that play where Casey Thompson was kind of scrambling to the outside and tripped over nothing, where he was just trying to take a step and his foot missed the ground and he sacked himself.
Yeah.
That was an indication of how the next couple weeks are going to go. The secondary side note to that is of all the weeks or of all the seasons to beat Iowa, it's kind of hilarious that was the season you beat Iowa.
Nebraska football in a nutshell.
That was the season you beat Iowa, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like kicked their ass too.
You went and you beat him in the trenches. Casey Thompson and Trey Palmer were an unstoppable combination that day. Trey Palmer woke up feeling pissed off, and you go and beat Iowa. One of the last 10 seasons to be the season that you lose to Georgia Southern and Northwestern, also being the season that you beat Iowa.
Who knows? North Carolina, TCU. Both teams look a little different this year. TCU, obviously, they lost one of the biggest portal pieces in Josh Hoover to the defending national champions in Indiana. They also lost their offensive coordinator in Art Briles, who is off to South Carolina to call plays for Lenora Sellers. So they brought in a guy who I think will be a pretty good hire from UConn. They've had UConn football has actually sneakily been pretty good the last couple of years. So TCU snagged their offensive coordinator. So things will look a little bit different for the Horned Frogs this year offensively. They also lost their number one receiver, McAllister, from last year. We all know the dumpster fire that was North Carolina last year, especially in this game against TCU where they got beat like 48-14. Another game where you looked at North Carolina's first possession last year and you're like, oh, they're going to be pretty good. And then the rest of that game and the rest of that season, they're like, oh, this team's really, really bad. So North Carolina also looks very different this year. I think I saw the number. They have over 50 transfers, and new players in on this team. So don't really know what to expect. They did hire Bobby Petrino as their offensive coordinator. So I think a little bit of an upgrade from Freddie Kitchens. Brought in Billy Edwards, who was at
Wisconsin and then Maryland.
and Maryland.
Or Maryland then Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Maryland then Wisconsin, I think.
Yeah. So both teams, they have a lot of moving pieces, as everybody does in college football nowadays. It'll be first game of the season, 11 a.m. in Dublin, in what's supposed to be a lot of rain and wind, and I am assuming this one's going to be kind of ugly to watch. It might not be a very fun football game to watch, just with all the question marks and moving pieces.
Yeah. And to your point, the forecast for your Saturday afternoon in Dublin, in this game, I believe we'll get going, was like 6 p.m. local time, 5 p.m. local time, somewhere in that range. You're looking at temperatures of about 62 degrees and a 70% chance of rain.
I feel like that's kind of how it always is for these games in Dublin. Like last year, Iowa State and Kansas State
was downpour.
Same thing.
Gross.
Yeah.
Then what was it? Was it K-State's quarterback's dad gets in a fight after the game in the stands?
Yeah. This one.
We shall see. This could feel like a game, maybe for both of these teams, that whoever loses this game, it immediately puts you onto a very hot seat as a coach. Sonny Dykes at TCU and Bill Belichick. Whoever loses this game, especially given what we know about the curse of Dublin, where if you lose, you're probably bound to have a bad season. Whoever loses this game feels like immediately gets ratcheted up near the top of the hot seat rankings in college football.
I agree.
That's the intrigue with this game, is whoever wins it, okay, you live to fight another day. Whoever loses it, you start off this season on a bad note. It makes you think, man, that coach might not make it through the season. TCU being an 8.5-point favorite, that feels about right to me. But you talk about all the transfers from North Carolina. Can Bill Belichick get a squad of guys in? Is there a squad of guys in college football right now? Maybe the bigger question, that Bill Belichick's old school Patriot way mentality can't resonate with college kids anymore. That was the question whenever Bill Belichick showed up to North Carolina. He is a gruff, kind of rough around the edges, old school football coach. The type of coach that, 30 years ago was probably grabbing face masks and dog cussing you out on the sideline. Is he able to adjust at all with his coaching style to be able to resonate with 18 to 22-year-olds, first off? And secondly, are there even a group of 18 to 22-year-olds around that will resonate with an old school Bill Belichick style coaching? I mean, that's kind of what remains to be seen for me. We'll get a better idea tomorrow. But if it's another bad loss for North Carolina to start the year, if you're North Carolina's athletic department, you got to start going down your short list of coaches and being like, okay, who could we get in a couple months?
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
I'm interested to see what TCU looks like tomorrow, because they're bringing in a transfer quarterback from Harvard and a brand new offensive coordinator.
He's going to be a smart, heady quarterback. You know, Jaden Craig is his name.
Yeah, it was pretty good in the FCS for Harvard, but it's a big step up. So we'll see what he looks like in first game over in Dublin. Yeah,
TCU also a ton of returning experience in the defensive side of the ball. We'll see how that plays for him. Another game in college football I am intrigued by tomorrow. The Virginia Cavaliers against NC State. Yeah. Bo Pribula, come on down. Up and down, I think, is the best way to describe his career at Missouri.
Yeah.
There was flashes where that guy could be a really good quarterback. And then there was other moments like this guy might be holding that entire Missouri team back. Missouri obviously thought that he was holding them back by letting him go off to Virginia in the portal. He unsurprisingly wins the starting quarterback job at Virginia. A tough test. Problem being this is in the ACC. But two teams that I think I could both see, if they get off on the right foot, being teams that are maybe not the Duke of last year, but teams that could be plucky and could go and
absolutely
take down a Clemson, a Florida State, probably not a Miami, but we'll see. You guys, the type of team that, while they're not going to win the ACC, they could be a potential party crasher as the season progresses because they're good enough to go take down one of those teams that is in contention to win the ACC.
Yeah, the thing about Virginia is if you look at their roster and you compare it to all the other rosters in college football, I believe this is, if not the oldest roster in college football, but it's one of them. They're definitely up there. They have their offensive line. I think they have a combined like 11,000 snaps together when you put all of them together. Bo Prabula, you have a transfer running back over from Tennessee. Your defense, you brought back a lot of pieces from last year. That was a really good defense. This Virginia team took a big step last year. People forget that. They were one game away from going to the college football playoff if they would have won the ACC championship against Duke. Now, granted, they did play in the ACC last year, and they did have a lot of close wins. So you don't know if they can replicate that. But when you talk about experience and talent and good head coach, this team has it all.
Well, and to your point, number 1 in the country in terms of career snaps.
Yeah. Very old team.
And number 2 in the country in terms of career starts. This is among Power 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at career snaps, number 1 in the country, Virginia. Number 2 in the country, Oklahoma State, which is why a lot of people are high in this Oklahoma State team this year with how they've overhauled their roster, brought in experience. Number 3, Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, UCLA. And how about this? Number 5, Colorado. Those are your top 5 teams in the country in terms of returning snaps. Indiana comes in at 8. And this is kind of part of the Indiana revolution, where Indiana has gone over the last couple of years into the transfer portal. They have bought snaps, essentially. Guys that fly under the radar because, hey, they were 3-star guys. They played a lot of snaps at their previous school. Were they a standout? No. Were they solid? Yes. Indiana goes and brings them in and turns them into standout players. So teams now going after experienced dudes in the portal, especially if you're flipping a program. That's what they think they've learned from Indiana. We'll see how that plays for Oklahoma State this year, and we'll see how that plays for Virginia as well. When you look at NC State in terms of returning snaps, they are down there. Where are they at? They are 63rd in the country with 29,000 returning snaps compared to the almost 60,000 that you get from NC State. As an aside here, bottom 2 teams in the country in terms of returning snaps, North Carolina at 67, Iowa at 68.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Heard a lot of talk about Iowa this offseason and how they don't have much coming back from last year. As far as this NC State-Virginia game, after you get kind of a stinker in the 11 o'clock game, well, at least I think will be a stinker.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one will be fun. I
think we'll get some points.
Yeah. Well, because on the other side, you got CJ Bailey, who, we talk about Virginia and their roster. CJ Bailey might be the best player on the field. He is electric. He's fun to watch, super mobile. He's going to take the top off the defense. He's got weapons. He's got targets. We saw this game last year get played. It was in where's North Carolina State? That's not Raleigh, because that's North Carolina. That is
It's Raleigh.
It's Raleigh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When this game was played in Raleigh last year, it was 35-31. Obviously, these teams look a little bit different, but they bring back, mainly the same guys. Like Chandler Morris, who was the Virginia quarterback last year. Bo Prabula is kind of the same player in a nutshell.
The highs are high, but the lows are low.
Exactly. And NC State's defense, they were one of the defenses last year that just gave up explosive play after explosive play. And then you got CJ Bailey on your offense. So I think the preview of this game is explosive. There's going to be offense. There's going to be fireworks. It's going to be fun. I think this one will be a really fun game in the 2:30 window.
Okay, the game I want to play here before we get out this segment is those are clearly the top 2 games in college football tomorrow.
Yeah. Other than that,
if you're going to pick a third game to watch, we're going to play this game. We're each going to make our selection for the third game that you would want to watch in college football. Whether or not you actually watched it or not, we'll put that to the side, YZ. If you have to watch 3 games, NC State TCU is one of them. Virginia NC State is the other one. What is the third game you are picking? Some of the options here include San Jose State and USC.
No,
that's a quick no. Hawaii and Stanford. Florida State and New Mexico State. UNLV and Memphis. And there's not really much else that even moves the needle. It's a rough week 0 slate. The Citadel plays Wofford. Who's going to miss that one?
Sacramento State and Eastern Michigan.
Baby, fire me up.
Yeah.
North Dakota State and Jacksonville State.
That's that one is kind of intriguing just because you have two programs who are, North Dakota State's first year in the FBS and Jacksonville State, also a new program. I think they came into the FBS 2-3 years ago. I would kind of want to see what North Dakota State looks like, a program that, locally around here, people have paid attention to because they've been dominant in the FCS, and I want to see what they look like in a step up. 9 o'clock, you have Memphis and UNLV.
I like that as an after dark game.
Yeah, I'll probably watch that. I'll probably watch 4 games because Hawaii and Stanford, I don't know if I'm really intrigued by that. Stanford is starting Davis Warren, who was at Michigan a couple years ago. I'm really not gonna sit down on my couch and want to watch that game. But Jacksonville State, North Dakota State is intriguing. In Memphis, UNLV, you have a brand new Memphis team bringing in the Southern Miss head coach from last year, brought over a lot of transfers from that Southern Miss team as well. UNLV, Anthony Calandria gets replaced by Jackson Arnold. And I think that Dan Mullen team is really, really fun. That could be a fun game as well. I don't know. It'll be football. It'll be something to watch, but am I going to be, jumping up and down to watch these games? No, not really.
Okay, here's a game I'm interested in. We've kind of been using it as a punchline in the afternoon this week, but I do want to watch the first quarter of USC and San Jose State. USC should wax the San Jose State team, but there's some interesting pieces with USC that I'm going to be looking for. First, they seem to be closer to Big Ten level along the lines of scrimmage, where you have some experienced. You got Alex Van Sumeren, a transfer in from I believe is it Michigan State that you brought in, that's played a lot of Big Ten football. You have some other guys on that defensive line that got their experience, got their feet wet, seem to be from a body type point of view more Big Ten than Pac-12. The offensive line returns a ton of experience, and we got to see that offensive line in Lincoln last year. Felt a little more old school USC with the way that they're able to move folks. Jaden Maiava returns. And then the wide receiver room, and there's always skill position talent in Los Angeles and California. They went out and got some good ones. All 4-star wide receivers. There's 3 of them with Trent Mosley, Caden Dixon Wyatt, and Booby Feaster, which is one of the best names in college football. Booby Feaster, hell yeah. All 3 of those guys going to be playing a lot of snaps for USC. They need to step up. Are they ready as true freshmen? We're going to find out. That's the new age of college football, that true freshmen are thrown into the fire much earlier. All 3 of those guys will be featured early and often for this USC offense. And then lastly, we got to see him a little bit last year with King Miller. Yeah. He's going to be playing rotationally with Wayman Jordan. That's a good 1-2 running back pairing, I believe, that you're going to have at the top of that running back room. That should work well behind a good offensive line, take a little pressure off of Maiava and those freshman wide receivers. But do you still have explosiveness? You would think so, because it's USC and it's Lincoln Riley. There's been a lot of talk with USC potentially being the 4th playoff team from the Big Ten. You can see why whenever you look at their roster. They seem to be built more to run the football, play ball control, be a Big Ten football team. They look more solid along the lines of scrimmage, but they still have that skill talent. Not to mention, they go and get Coach Eckler to coach their special teams, which all Coach Eckler does is button up special teams and get them playing at a high level. Great hire for them out there to make sure their special teams are up to Big Ten level. I'm curious to see how it all works together, but I think that could be a performance that we look at and go, okay, this USC team is ready for the Big Ten. A little less glitz and glam and a little bit more black and blue in the trenches.
Yeah. USC is a team that's definitely on my radar coming into the season. I've been a Jade Maiava supporter since he was a freshman. They bring back entire offensive line. You laid it all out, everything they bring back, all their skill players. There's a reason they are like 40-point favorites in this game. They have all the talent in the world. And then San Jose State is pretty much starting over with their roster. Any talent that school gets, they kind of just get plucked in the portal. So they kind of year to year have to restart things. So yeah,
I'm not expecting San Jose State to put up much of a fight.
No,
this is more about a showcase opportunity for USC. And I'm glad you brought up Maiava, because he's a talented quarterback. And you see him, he feels so comfortable and confident in the pocket until he throws one of the worst interceptions you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It feels like he's operating for 3 quarters, super efficient. You're looking up in the third quarter and he's 21 of 24 for 215 yards, 1 touchdown. You're like, okay, yeah, that's the Jaden Maiava that we've been expecting. We kind of been waiting for. And then he's at the 35-yard line and just throws a terrible pick right into the arms of a linebacker that did not move on the play, straight into his chest. And you go, what the hell is that, Jaden Maiava? Can he eliminate those plays? Because if he can be one of those super efficient. Game manager isn't the type for him, but I feel like you almost want him to settle more into a game manager type role.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many skill position guys in that USC team. Just get him the football, try to keep the ball out of harm's way.
You don't need to be a hero.
And I feel like he does it 90% of the time, but then he has those occasional ones that just make you go, what are you doing, man?
Mm-hmm.
The one last year against Nebraska where they're on their own side of the field, and
super telegraphed
pass. Andrew Marshall was playing it the whole way.
Yeah, stared him down
and
threw it right at him.
Yeah, that's the perfect example of the Jaden Maiava experience, where Maiava was pretty cool, calm, and collected all day long, and then his own half of the field throws a stupid out route that the corner is sitting on the entire time. And hey, Nebraska is the beneficiary, but you sit back and you go, what was that? That's Maiava for you. Can he eliminate those plays?
And then
that's the next step for him.
And then the next play, Dylan Raiola gets sacked and fumbles, and we know what happens from there.
Yeah, that was a game swinging like 3 plays right there. Was it the very next play? Or was it 2 plays?
Yeah,
later?
It was a couple plays after. Yeah.
Anyway, that's the college football slate coming
anything
week
less
0.
than a 30 to 40 point win by USC will be a disappointment.
Yeah, this feels like it should be like 56-3. Yeah. That's we'll see how close I am with that. But there is your college football week 0 slate. Don't worry, folks. Week 2 is coming. Even week 1 is just all right.
Yeah, pretty meh.
A week from now, the games that you have are on Sunday for the most part. The Saturday slate's not very good. You get to Sunday and you get Louisville, Ole Miss.
Yeah,
you get Wisconsin, Notre Dame, where Notre Dame's like a 20+ point favorite. Washington and Washington State, the Apple Cup, where Washington's a 23-point favorite. And then Monday Night Football in college football, SMU and Florida State. I think that's an interesting one. SMU 2.5-point early favorite. We'll see how Florida State looks tomorrow. But the Sunday and Monday slate is where it's at in week 1 of college football. And then you get to week 2, which has that's got Texas and Ohio State. Yeah. That also features what's the other Michigan and Oklahoma. And I believe I'm gonna have to correct myself. Is Texas that, or is that week 3? Regardless. Oh no, it is. Week 2, Texas and Ohio State. Tennessee and Georgia Tech could be an interesting one. And then, as I kind of talked about, Michigan and Oklahoma should be a fun one. So week 3 is coming. That's the one I have circled. We had to make it through. Oh, sorry, week 2, week 3, whatever you want to call it, because week 0 is a stupid concept. But we have to make it through week 0. And week 1, we ramp up. Week 2 will be here before we know it.
Regardless, we are back.
We are back.
We're so back.
College football is back. Football season is back. I will say it officially. The offseason ends today. It's over. We're into the college football season. That'll do it for us for a long second segment previewing week 0 of the college football season. We'll step aside, and when we return, maybe a little baseball?
Quick, yeah.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. It's the Morning Hookup. Rolling with you on a Friday edition. Elijah Herbal and YZ.
Touchdown.
Dodgers got a win against the Braves last night, huh? 1-0. Fun.
Oh, check the pitching on that one. Check what Chris Sale did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was like 108 pitches or something.
You don't see complete games anymore. Ever.
There was a clip too of they showed his son in the crowd when he came out for the 9th inning. He's like a little boy, and he's like, "Yeah, let's go." It was pretty sweet.
Reject modernity, embrace tradition. Let pitchers go 9.
Yeah. He's 37 anyways. His elbow's already falling off the bone. A guy like that too, I wonder how he's bypassed so many injuries. The way he throws sometimes, his slider, that has to just put so much stress on you.
Some of those athletes, the guys that can pitch a long time in the MLB, I swear, biomechanically, there must be something wrong with him that allows him to do it. Because his body should not be able to throw 95 plus miles an hour for 15 years.
No, it should not. They must do some like crazy recovery and like really take care of their bodies because it's unthinkable for guys like us.
I can't imagine throwing 95 miles an hour once, let alone at age 37 after doing it for 15 years.
I throw BP for 20 minutes and I'm like, my UCL. God.
Get a couple beers in me and just go hop out, grab the glove and the mitt and go toss it around and wake up the next day like, oh, that was stupid.
Literally.
20 minutes. Oh.
Man.
Oh, okay. We need to talk about Dylan Gabriel's performance to lead off hour 2.
What happened?
He balled out.
Was he slinging it?
He was slinging it, and the Patriots didn't play anybody.
No.
But it's so hilarious that the Browns, with potentially 2 exciting quarterback prospects that you could roll with, are like, no, we want to start the most unpopular quarterback in NFL history. Welcome back into a Friday edition of the Morning Hookup. Elijah Herbal and YZ hanging out with you as Bill Hooks makes his way back to middle school.
Billy Madison.
He is
Back to school.
he's the speaker for a room full of middle schoolers today, letting them know about business, life, sports talk radio, I'm sure. So Bill Hooks hanging out with us back on Monday. Corn Raider says, I didn't give Hooksy permission to take the day off. Corn Raider says Stu wasn't available. Maybe we'll get a random Stu sighting in here. I feel like every single time
He's kind of just
Hooksy
popped
that-
up recently.
Yeah, I just see him at the window, and he kind of does sign language with me. Can I come in? Can I come in? I'm like, yeah, dude, come on. Sure. Dude, if you're out there listening, if you're just driving around in North Lincoln, hey, buddy.
You want to come hang out for the second hour?
Yeah. We have nothing to give you, but I feel like we make a pretty enjoyable conversation. We can make your 10 o'clock hour fun.
I'm imagining Bill Hooks at recess with a dodgeball like he had in Billy Madison. Now you're all in big trouble.
Just starts beating kids.
Yeah.
Corn Raider says he hopes Hooksy didn't eat any of those enchiladas last night. We have plenty more to get into in hour 2. We'll have some NFL thoughts. We'll have Jeff Moats, a football-centric show today as we talk some college football week 0 last segment. We do need to quickly get into some baseball. We're into the stretch run. And I feel like baseball in the month of September can sometimes get put on the back burner as everyone is caring about their fantasy football team, their college football team, their NFL team. But how about, you brought this to my attention, Chris Sale, complete game shutout last night. When was the last time you heard of a complete game shutout in the MLB? If it wasn't a guy that was going for a no-hitter or a perfect game. Like, tossing a guy back out there into the 9th inning, he'd given up, I think, 5 base hits in the game, had 11 strikeouts. He said, whatever. Get back out there. Rare to see in baseball nowadays. I love it. There are times when I think, hey, maybe we should just stuff the analytics guys in a locker. The analytics of baseball, great.
Sometimes
it's made. I don't want to say it's made the game of baseball better, but it has given teams. They're more equipped to go year in and year out and make runs with this analytics revolution. But sometimes you got to take those analytics guys, stuff them in a locker, and say, hey, Chris Sale's rolling. We're going to keep him out there. This is a big game for us against the Dodgers.
Absolutely. There is a time and a place for analytics. There's a time to play matchups and say, okay, this guy's going to go against this hitter, and then we're going to take him out because we're going to have a lefty-lefty. There's so many intricacies and little things where, like, yes, analytics have their merit, but there's also the thing in baseball where you let your guy go and you don't mess up his rhythm. Chris Sale had it going last night. And you already know he was in the dugout in the 8th inning telling his manager, no, I'm going out. I'm going out and I'm finishing this thing. I think he had like 95 pitches or something before he came out, and you just see him run out onto the field to finish that thing. That's sweet. That's what baseball is about. And I mentioned to you too that there's a clip out there of his son sitting in the stands, seeing his dad come out in the 9th inning, and he's just going crazy. Just awesome stuff.
And I mentioned the fact, big game for the Braves last night, because they find themselves just one game behind the Dodgers for potential home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They're at 79-55, Dodgers at 80-54. That's the intrigue on the NL side of things. Brewers have a 7-game lead, Braves have a 5-game lead, Dodgers have an 8-game lead. I don't think anyone is going to be jumping up and winning divisions. The Cubs have gotten cold at a bad time of the year. Not much intrigue on that side, but from the NL point of view, Braves, Dodgers battling for the pennant is kind of the battle we're watching for. So the Braves, big game. They keep out Chris Sale. They get a 1-0 win against the Dodgers last night. They'll do it for us here in hour 1 of the morning hookup. We'll step aside for a few minutes. When we return, we'll talk some football.
Young athletes and academics in Lincoln and Lancaster County. Follow your favorite team on air and online at KFORnow.com. Powered by Leach Camper Sales. Stay connected to Lincoln and Lancaster County High School athletics on FM 101.5, 1240 AM KFOR.
Purple Wave Auction Box.
Hey there, folks. If you're buying or selling equipment, ride the wave.
Ride the wave. Purple Wave Auction makes it easy to sell.
Easy to buy. Construction, ag, fleet, and government equipment. All no reserve. All online.
All online.
Cruise on over to purplewave.com and get in the groove today.
Purplewave.com.
Babbel proudly presents the Sheep Cheese Fiasco.
Cute market. Oh, cheese. Let's get cheese. Cheese, cheese, cheese. Hola. Quiero una oveja. Pequeñita.
¿Una oveja pequeñita?
Sí.
Bueno, pues tengo como 20.
Oh, no. But they're cute.
Don't let your Spanish fool you. Avoid bringing home the farm with Babbel, the award-winning language learning app.
Can you make us some cheese, please? Oh. Cheese. You're not cheese.
Practice with Babbel's guided conversations based on real situations. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will have you speaking conversationally in as little as 3 weeks.
Yes. Oh, you're so sweet.
Get up to 50% off on your Babbel subscription when you sign up at Babbel.com. That's 50% off at BABBEL.com.
It's not always the size of the hailstones, but the wind speed and the age of the roof, which result in damage to residential roofing. This is Matt Berkey with Golden Rule Contractors. Hail of any size can do damage if the wind gusts are high enough, and older, more weathered roofs are susceptible to damage. If there's been wind or hail in your area, contact Golden Rule Contractors at grclincoln.com for a free estimate. We'll treat your home as if it were our own.
Now is the perfect time to get your lawn and garden ready for fall. I'm Chris Goforth. Join me and the experts from Earl May as we give you the tips and tricks to keep your landscape thriving through the changing seasons. In the Garden with Earl May, Saturday morning at 8:30, right here on KFOR.
Severe weather in Nebraska could be a matter of seconds between life and death. Before, during, and after, you can count on KFOR's Operation Stormwatch, life-saving information powered by Golden Rule Contractors and Lincoln's KFOR.
Lincoln's local news, talk, sports, and weather station. FM 101.5, 1240 AM, KFOR, and KFRX HD3, Lincoln.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Fed Chair Kevin Warsh addressing the Federal Reserve's annual conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, saying inflation remains too high.
It's the Fed's job to deliver stable prices No excuses.
When prices remain high, interest rates usually go up, says ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
The Fed needs to highlight inflation, needs to focus on using its tools to bring prices down more than anything else right now. What are those tools? Well, typically, when inflation is high, what the Fed does is it hikes interest rates. Kevin Moore says he does not want to give a prediction for what they are going to do explicitly with interest rates. But the assumption here, if inflation is above where they want it to be, that might be what the Fed needs to do.
President Trump has been pushing the Fed to lower rates. The president at Johnson Space Center in Houston this hour, handing the Congressional Space Medal of Honor to the crew of the Artemis II. Today marks half a year since the war with Iran began.
It's been 6 months since the U.S. and Israel launched massive strikes against Iran, wiping out its conventional military and killing more than 3,600 Iranians, according to human rights activists in Iran, including 165 people after an elementary school was struck, most of them children. All of this loss in a war the president said would be over in a matter of weeks.
ABC Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz. In Washington, thousands are gathering at the Lincoln Memorial today, protesting the stripping away of voting rights they say has happened since President Trump took office. Roads and bridges washed away in Nepal, making the search for survivors in the mudslide even more difficult. More than 300 people were pulled from a tunnel today. They were caked in mud and had been there since it happened. 5 Americans were airlifted out. The jury in the Lindsay Clancy trial has begun its first full day of deliberations. The Massachusetts mom of 3 charged with killing her children while suffering from postpartum psychosis. This is ABC News.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since, I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told you so.
Is it too late for charter amendments to make the city ballot? Good morning, I'm Jeff Modes. We're at 75 degrees at KFOR. The deadline passed for any proposed Lincoln City charter amendments to go before voters this November. That's according to Lincoln City Attorney Johansi Christie. The decision sets up an imminent court battle over the fate of 3 proposed city charter amendments for the petitioning Good Government Lincoln Group. In the release, just after 6 o'clock Thursday night, Christie said that 2 of the 3 petitions from Good Government Lincoln have qualified for the ballot, but because the Lincoln City Council has to provide public notice, host a public hearing, then vote on including the measures on the ballot, Christie said it's too late for them to get on the November 3rd ballot. Read more at KFORnow.com. Saying that she was encouraged about the news of a new lead being followed by Lincoln police in the case of her missing sister, Janelle Rapp tells KFOR News she hopes this can help investigators get to the next step in finding her sister, Gina Boss, who has not been seen in nearly 26 years.
We've been in this step for nearly 26 years of not knowing anything.
Boss, who was 40 at the time, was last seen leaving Dugan's Pub at 11th and K on October 17, 2000, and has not been seen since. Rapp tells KFOR News she's more encouraged that LPD has been following up on the lead for quite a while, which could mean that they could have some sort of answer. At the inaugural Spikes Under Lights at AT&T Stadium in suburban Dallas Thursday night, the Nebraska volleyball team, number 1 in the country, of course, swept a pair of exhibitions against 17th-ranked Florida and number 11 SMU, and claiming the $1 million prize. Husker middle blocker Andy Jackson totaled 8 kills in both matches and said afterward the first set against Florida was not their best.
It's pretty normal for first set in front of so many people, different environment, different venue. But we just went into the huddle in between sets 1 and 2. And like I said, we knew it wasn't our best, so we acknowledged that and we went back out. And I think even the start of set 2 wasn't our best. It was still just a little bit messy and still some nerves, honestly, just because it is such a different venue than what we're used to.
Nebraska heads to Las Vegas this weekend for the Players Era Challenge against UNLV Saturday, Texas on Sunday. Mostly sunny today and a high of 88. I'm Jeff Modes, KFOR News.
Hi, this is Michaela Kumke with the Food Bank of Lincoln. Want to care for our neighbors while enjoying a great meal? On Wednesday, September 9th, just dine out at a participating Lincoln restaurant. When you do, a portion of your bill helps provide meals for people facing hunger in southeast Nebraska. So gather your friends and family, skip the cooking and cleanup, and enjoy a meal with meaning. Find a list of locations at lincolnfoodbank.org and dine out to help out on September 9th.
When you're finally off the long day, dishes put away, kids asleep, feet kicked up, heartburn. Don't let heartburn take over your hard-earned moment. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Nothing works faster for heartburn relief. Alka-Seltzer effervescent tablets begin neutralizing stomach acid in seconds, so you can get back to your one more episode marathon. Quick, Alka-Seltzer. Because nothing works faster.
This is the Morning Hookup on KFOR.
Fire me up. Welcome back in a Friday edition, a Husker Homer Friday on the Morning Hookup. Elijah Herbal and YZ hanging out with you here this morning. Man, 8 days.
8 days.
8 days. Nebraska v. Ohio. We are counting it down. It's that time of fall camp, though, where you get to this last week and you're just like, I need to see it in the field now.
Yeah.
We've had the fall camp talk. We've heard from the coaches. There's things that I have probably changed my tune on through fall camp as you hear rumblings out of fall camp and you hear the coaches. There's still things I have my doubts about. None of that's going to change in the next week. I just need to see it on the field. I'm fired up. Football season's back. I know it's still just NFL preseason, but it was good to have that on the TV. We have real college football games this weekend. Week 1, Nebraska, Ohio next week. It's here. It's here. You made it.
The road to 12-0.
Folks, you've made it. After a long, different feeling offseason in Nebraska. One of the weirdest off seasons I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
You made it through the highs of basketball season, the fun of baseball season. You made it through a long summer of whatever you do with your summer. Maybe it's youth baseball. Maybe you just had the 4th of July, and otherwise you tried to stay inside and avoid the heat. Maybe there's another summer of lawn care. Whatever it may have been for you. You've made it. It's football season. Leaves are going to start changing colors here soon. Cooler days are on the way. It's good, man. It's good to be here. It's good to be hanging out with you guys on a Friday again. Bill Hooks off to middle school. He is a special guest speaker for a room full of middle schoolers this morning. He'll be back with us on a Monday. We have plenty to get into football-wise. Jeff Moat's coming later this hour in order to he just stepped into the room and I think just turned on the air conditioning. Thanks, Moatsy. He'll be talking some high school footballs. We got the high school football season underway last night on KFOR with Lincoln East and Lincoln Northeast. He'll bring us thoughts on that game and what's going down elsewhere in the high school football scene. But the NFL is where I want to go here.
Mm-hmm.
And before we get to some rookie rankings that we have for your fantasy football league, what guys to target, what guys to avoid in your fantasy football draft, and maybe look to pick up on waivers later, and what guys to avoid overall throughout your season. I might be the only time I say this. I want to talk about the Browns.
Let's do it.
What are they doing? Simply put, they have a core of younger players that I think they can build around. Are they ready to win right now? No. That's evidenced by the fact that they traded away Myles Garrett. They got a younger guy in Verse, who I think it's a great swap for them to go get themselves a younger pass rusher to complement their young core. You don't need the guy that's in his prime right now.
Mm-hmm.
You go and get the guy that might be a year or two away from his prime. You have a guy in Denzel Ward, one of the better cover corners in the league. You have some young pieces that I think are exciting. Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson could be a great 1-2 punch at the running back spot. Denzel Boston and Casey Conception, two guys that, from a wide receiver point of view, I think are super, super talented. And Casey Conception's a guy that we're going to come back around to whenever we talk some rookie rankings.
Yep.
There is a core there of young guys. You invested with Mason Graham on your defensive line, who, as a rookie, was fine. All right. If he can continue to make steps up, I think him and Verse could be a pretty good combo in the interior of their defensive line. There's pieces there. Absolutely. Not to mention the fact you have quarterbacks that are young. And hey, love him or hate him, Shadur Sanders, I think you should probably figure out what you have with him now after what he put together at the end of last year. I think he showed himself to be better than Dylan Gabriel. But Dylan Gabriel, last night in a preseason game where the Patriots really didn't play anybody. How about this stat line? 12 of 15, 186 yards, 3 touchdowns, a quarterback rating of 157.9. To add to that, he also had 4 carries on the ground. Nothing special there, but willingness to use the legs. The backup last night played in the second half, Taylon Green, 5 of 7, 27 yards, but also ran the ball 8 times for 66 yards. Browns win it 37-13 against the Patriots. Again, the Patriots didn't really play anybody. The quarterbacks they rolled with were Barron Morton and Tommy DeVito. So it was starters to the bench. But you have young quarterbacks in Cleveland that wouldn't you want to figure out what you have? Doesn't it make sense? I mean, you're not in win now mode if you're the Browns. You're hoping for a good 5-12, 6-11 type year this year with your younger guys performing well that you can go build upon in the draft next year. And you got yourself some draft capital in that Myles Garrett trade. There's reason to believe the Browns could be good moving forward. Do you have a quarterback moving forward? As of right now, I'd say, I don't know. And you decide to go with Deshaun Watson, the most unlikable quarterback in the league? That's the guy you're rolling with early? Why?
Do you think they're going with Watson because of like what they spent on him in the contract?
That's a bad reason to play a quarterback.
I know, but I mean, you're like, we spent all this money on this guy.
That's exactly why I think they're playing him.
And yeah. And that's not a good situation to be in as a franchise. Is well, we got to get our bang for our buck. You know, we spent our money on this. We're gonna use it. I don't know. I think they should definitely look. You know, they do have those young guys, and they should look even more towards their young guys. But I don't know really what else you do with Deshaun. Do you have this $230 million contract just sitting on the bench?
You should have cut him years ago.
Yeah, you should have. But now you're kind of SOL. You're kind of just sitting in a situation where your hand's stuck in the cookie jar. You don't really know what to do.
Well, think about once you get Deshaun Watson off your roster, though, think about the cap space it frees up for you to go be competitive in the free agent market. To potentially, let's say, Shadur Sanders goes out and performs admirably this year, which it's not unreasonable to think. I know there's a lot of Shadur Sanders haters around here, but Shadur Sanders was, I'd say, generally speaking, all right last year. He showed some flashes. He also had some really low moments. That's the saga of a rookie quarterback that needs some development.
Shadur gets.
How do you continue to develop that guy? Do you do it by sitting him on the bench, or do you develop him by getting him in game action, letting him take some live bullets?
Yeah.
Same with Dylan Gabriel. He looked worse than Shadur last year.
Yeah.
But how do you develop that and see if he can continue to take strides? You put him on the football field.
Shadur gets the short end of the stick because of who his dad is and him being. Obviously, they played at Colorado, and
he liked the spotlight on him at Colorado.
Exactly. They kind of did it to themselves. But Shadur, yeah, like you said, he really didn't play that bad last year. There were some bad moments, some really bad throws, some really bad interceptions, but overall, in the grand scheme of things, was actually a pretty solid quarterback. But it's just the situation the Browns are in right now really, really sucks. With everything you've had with Watson and his off the field issues and injuries, and they paid so much money for them. I think that's where they're kind of at right now, is like, we paid so much money for this, and the value that we've gotten out of it has been nowhere near what we thought it was going to be. So we're going to try and soak up anything that we can while he's still here. After this season, I think they do make a move to just get rid of him, get rid of the cap hit, get rid of everything, and do make that next step towards their younger guys. But knowing that organization, they won't do anything this year, smart this year.
Well, you need to have a quarterback to be a contender in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
If it goes poorly this year, what do you think they're targeting at the top of the draft next year? A quarterback.
Probably. Knowing that organization.
Because Deshaun's not your quarterback of the future.
No.
Until you have a quarterback of the future, you're stuck in the mud in the NFL. I think the right move in 2026 is to find out if you have a quarterback of the future on roster or not. Find out definitively. Instead, they're rolling with Deshaun Watson. Anyway, it speaks to why the Browns are bad year after year.
I think even if Deshaun Watson goes out there and balls out and has a really good year,
you're still moving on from him,
I think
probably.
the Browns still have to say, okay, dude, we gotta let you go. We gotta cut ties. You can't keep a guy around like that.
And how old is he now? Is he 31, 32, somewhere in there? Not your quarterback of the future, I don't think.
No.
So regardless, this to me speaks to why the Browns stay stuck in the mud.
Yep.
It's decisions like this. The Browns, though, do have some exciting young players, as we talked about, and some exciting rookies. I want to dive into that before we get Jeff Moats on the show to talk some high school football. We spent this segment 1 of hour 2 last Friday, talking about guys we're targeting and guys we're fading in fantasy football drafts. I want to have a similar conversation here, but just specifically look at rookies in the NFL. And there's a couple guys that we're probably going to have to toss off this list because they're going to be premium players in the draft. Jeremiah Love, and Jadarian Price. You want to put Jadarian Price in that list as well as guys that'll probably be off the board relatively early in your fantasy football drafts.
Yep.
I'm talking guys that are going to be there mid-round to late round. Who are the guys you're targeting? There's 3 categories I think you can have here. Guys you're targeting, guys that you're willing to let go in the draft because you think they might be available on waiver wires weeks 5 or week 6. Type of guys that, like, hey, they're going to be good, but it's going to take them a couple weeks before they're fully integrated into an offense. And then guys that we're just fading and keeping off the roster altogether. I'll start off with the guy I am targeting, and I mentioned him. It's KC Conception.
Yeah. Beast.
He has shown out in preseason. Unfortunately, he's got Deshaun Watson throwing him the football. But Deshaun Watson, I think, is good enough to understand whenever he's got a dude to go feed the football to. KC Conception steps into a wide receiver room that, I'll say it because I'm a Broncos fan and I had to watch him, was forced to watch him for multiple years. Jerry Jeudy does not have the mentality to be a great NFL wide receiver. That guy is a fine wide receiver 3. He has an issue with drops. He has an issue with bringing effort and intensity every single play. That is not a guy that you're going to rely upon. KC Conception, I think, can step in and be a wide receiver 1 right away. And I think he's going to be a guy that is going to be available in rounds 6, 7 of your draft. KC Conception, first guy I am targeting rookie-wise, that even if there is a slow couple weeks as he gets his sea legs under him in the NFL, I think he is poised for a big year.
Yeah, he's an animal. Kind of had didn't live up to expectations at Texas A&M, and that's kind of because of Marcel Reed throwing him the ball. That really wasn't much of Concepcion not being the guy. But you go back and look at his numbers when he was at North Carolina State. He was putting up extremely good numbers. I think he will fit well in that offense and be a really good target for Deshaun Watson. I'm sticking with a receiver as well. Another quarterback situation that I'm not in love with down in Atlanta. But you have Zachariah Branch in this offense, and you talk about explosive, you talk about shifty, you talk about a guy who he can either 1, take the top off the defense, or 2, just farm receptions, really like short screen passes and drag routes, and then get out in space and beat a guy in man coverage. And you have a guy we don't know if Tua or Michael Penix will be the starter yet, but they're going to look for this guy for those quick hitters, those quick receptions. And if you can, if you're in a PPR league and you have a guy in Zachariah Branch who can get you 4 receptions for 30, 40 yards, that'll be a pretty good fantasy output. So I think Zachariah Branch is kind of a sleeper rookie.
How do you feel about Carnell Tate? I don't know where he's going to go in draft boards is the thing.
I think he'll be kind of like that safety valve, not safety valve. He's kind of wide receiver 1 in Tennessee right now. Like I think that could be high upside and really, really low downside.
Well, that's not to say there's good wide receivers in that room when you look at Wandale Robinson and who's the other one? It's going to kill me.
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah. Got vets that will be fine. But again, they've been in the NFL long enough to know they are not wide receiver 1s. They're complementary pieces. Carnell Tate, you draft him in the first round to go be a wide receiver 1. Depends where you get him value-wise, because I don't love that Titans offense. But another guy to target for you. A guy that I like, and we have a wide receiver flair here, to not be a guy you're targeting, I think he may go undrafted, or he might be a guy that you could stash on injured reserve short-term wise early to take him in the late rounds. Jordan Tyson. He's got a right hamstring injury, expected to miss some time early in the season. if you have IR spots in your league, might be a good guy to draft and stash right away because I think he's going to be pretty stinking good. I'm a Tyler Shuck believer down in New Orleans, and I think Jordan Tyson, the only question with him for me is injuries. Super, super gifted athletically, gifted route runner. One of those guys that looks like if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a Pro Bowler year in, year out. What does he look like in year one coming off a hamstring injury with a history of hamstring injuries during his time at Arizona State? We shall see. But it's a guy that I love. If he is there for you, mid-rounds, talking rounds 7 or 8 because of the injury concerns, that if you can get him and stash him, or, hey, don't draft him, and hopefully he ends up on waiver wires whenever he comes back if it's a slow start. It's a guy that I really like. I think he could be a league winner for you late in the season.
If you want to punt at the tight end position, or I guess this is probably a guy you could pick up later on in the season off of waivers. Kenyon Sadiq out of Oregon and drafted by the Jets. Geno Smith loves throwing to tight ends, and the Jets don't have a deep tight end room. You have, I think, Mason Taylor and like Jeremy Ruckert, and there's very real possibility that Kenyon Sadiq is going to get starter snaps for the Jets. And in an offense where you have Geno Smith throwing in the ball, you need a safety valve. And Kenyon Sadiq, this guy is an absolute freak. He's like 6'8", 225, and extremely gifted athletically. If you watch the Jets for a couple weeks and you see how this offense operates and you realize that Geno is targeting this guy, I think he would be a good pickup.
Last one here. Rookie you're avoiding in this draft. I'll dive into the deep end. I'm biased as a Broncos fan. I'm not taking Jonah Coleman.
He's kind of darted up on draft boards, and I'm not with it either.
He's looked decent in preseason. Sean Payton seems to be happy with what he's seen, really limiting his snaps and kind of saying in press conference, I've seen what I've seen. I've seen what I need to see. Jonah Coleman's an RB2. And with where he's going off the board, I feel like they're seeing him as a guy that's going to split carries with Dobbins, and I think he'll get carries, but you might have a 3-headed running back room in Denver. With your third down back in RJ Harvey, that is a pass catcher, I think primarily as he moves forward in his NFL career. A guy that's dangerous in open field, but I don't think he's got the stature that's going to make him a RB1. Maybe not Darren Sproles-esque. He's not fast enough to be Darren Sproles, but I think kind of see a similar role in the offense, more of a scat back type. You have J.K. Dobbins, who when he's healthy is head and shoulders above the rest of that room. They're working him back from that foot injury he suffered. I look at where Jonah Coleman fits in, and he strikes me as a 5 to 10 carries a game type of guy, where from a backup point to J.K. Dobbins, it's going to end up being a lot of, I think, splitting time with R.J. Harvey in the backfield. I don't see the value there of drafting him where he's going, which I'm seeing him going as high as like 5th, 6th round, and at times higher than J.K. Dobbins off the board. J.K. Dobbins is the running back to get out of that Denver room. Jonah Coleman, I think next year could be a great pickup. I think in year one, I just don't think he's going to have the consistency to make it worth your time. And he's a guy that I could absolutely see on waiver wires early in the season whenever fantasy owners realize early in the year, oh, he's only getting 5-6 carries a game.
Yeah. Maybe for like a dynasty league or something, somebody you have for the next upcoming years. And another guy that I think would be good for a dynasty league, but not necessarily for a year-to-year basis fantasy draft. And a guy you mentioned as well, Kalen Black, out of Indiana. I think he's extremely gifted, extremely talented, but in a 49ers offense where you have Christian McCaffrey, you know that they are going to pepper Christian McCaffrey with targets and feed him the ball over and over and over again. I worry about how many times Black actually touches the ball. And then
he's a handcuff at best.
Even in that running back room, they have experienced guys and guys who have been in that system for multiple years, and Khalil Herbert and Isaac Garendo. I think Shanahan goes to those guys more than he does his rookie. So
yeah, I agree. The best you're getting with him is a handcuff to Christian McCaffrey. If Christian McCaffrey goes down, you got yourself a guy. If Christian McCaffrey remains healthy this year, waste of a pick.
Yep.
That's too risky for me. Unless you're getting really good value. I'm talking like bottom 2 rounds of the draft. I'm not touching him. I'm with you. So there's our thoughts on some of the rookies in the NFL this year as everyone gears up for their fantasy football drafts. If you have any questions for us regarding fantasy football, drop them in the stream chat. The Morning Hookup on YouTube is where you can find us, hang out with us. I see Corn Raider's been hanging out with us here this morning. FloodX10's been hanging out with us as well. So if you'd like to hang out with us, hop in the stream chat, get us your fantasy football questions, and we'll give you the best answers that we can. We'll step aside. Oh, FloodX10, one more name, Deshaun Stribling.
Yeah.
That is a name that I love being able to potentially pick up on waiver wires after a few weeks. I'm not sure I'm targeting him in the draft. We'll see what round he falls to. If you get him in the real late rounds, sure. I think his value is kind of skyrocketed through camp. I wouldn't take him with, I mean, his average draft position, I think, has him going like 7th, 8th round. I'm not taking him there because I think he's a guy that might have to settle into this 49ers offense. I'd look at picking him up on waiver wires as the season goes on, but we shall see. If you want to take a flyer, I wouldn't hate it for you. I just think his value through camp is reached higher than what his actual output in the offense may be. With that in mind, I think maybe you might get him on waivers after a couple weeks. So, and he says Stribling looks like a long-term dynasty draft gem. That I can agree with. So we'll step aside here. Jeff Motes has been sitting down patiently waiting. Thank you, Motesy, for bearing with us. I know you're not a fantasy football player, but we'll step aside when we return. We'll get some high school football thoughts as we kicked off the high school football season last night on KFOR. It's Jeff Motes.
Bueller.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. It's good to have you, Motesy.
Yeah. Hey, did you get my highlights I sent?
I believe so. I think
I sent them to your email as well.
Yep.
I think cuts 1 and 9 are probably the worthwhile ones. I guess we go grab the highlight sheet if you want to see what we have. I have a decent idea of what's what. So I gotta ask, what's John Harris been saying about me?
Oh, he's
yeah,
just,
I know.
He's just kidding. I got to tell you, that game last night, it was not exactly what I was anticipating. I thought it would be a good game. I was not anticipating the performance in Northeast had, considering 3 fumbles. 3 fumbles.
And 2 missed field goals.
And 2 missed field goals. Well, point after.
Oh, yes, yeah. 2 missed kicks.
2 missed kicks. A point after was blocked and a missed field goal. Okay. But I also, at the same time, was not expecting East High to have bad snap and resulting in losses of yards and punting away a lot. The penalties for both teams, I thought equally the penalties were fair for both teams.
And there's definitely a couple week 1 penalties with that false start on the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
First and goal, that was a tough one. They ended up scoring, though, so it worked out.
And then, I really thought otherwise. I thought it was a good football game, considering that these two teams, I can't recall the last time they faced each other. It's been a few years. I mean, and as we talked about in the game last night, and we'll talk about this on the air too, the state does all the scheduling. Okay. Used to be that back when it was 4 LPS high schools, this is how old I am, when there were 4 LPS high schools, they were playing each other every year.
Mm.
And then you get the 6. You still had chances to play East on a regular basis. And then you get expansion, you get Pius that comes up to Class A, and then they split up all the Lincoln teams playing each other. And I remember one year, I think Northeast, I don't think they played anybody in town. They did not play anybody in Lincoln one year. So it's kind of goofy on how the state schedules it, and I don't think that's right.
No, but it's with their kind of like their pod system with the districts where they try to.
Oh, here we go.
Welcome back in to a Friday edition of the Morning Hookup. No karaoke for you this morning. I thought for a second there, Mozi was going to belt it out.
I cannot do a Stevie Nicks voice. No, I can. Although this was a big hit for her in the early 80s. Mm-hmm. It just sounds like 1981, 82 with that song. So, but yeah, no karaoke this morning for sure. Considering I'm surprised I still got a voice left. Number one, considering we were at Seacrest until a little bit after 10 o'clock last night. And I want to apologize to folks.
By the way, sorry, that song did release July 1981.
So it's 45 years old.
Yeah, you nailed it with 81, 82, though.
Yeah, Edge of 17 was one of her big hits of the 80s. And then what was the other one? Stand Back was the one that came out a few years later. But Edge of 17, I think that was one of her first big solo hits, after Fleetwood Mac.
Sorry,
So,
back to football, though.
but back to football. Yeah, enough talk about rock radio from 45 years ago. But I want to apologize that, when we scheduled the game last night, the kickoff was set for 7 o'clock. There was a change that we overlooked, and they changed it to 7:30 last night. And I cannot recall the last time that we had a football game in Lincoln, with the LPS schools, it started at 7:30. Now, that was kind of the norm back in the day, where games would start at 7:30 on a Friday night. But no, usually they start at 7 on Thursdays and Fridays, sometimes 8 o'clock on Fridays. But yeah, so we got there extra early last night and getting ready for the game. And it turned out to be a pretty good contest, considering you had, I don't know how many penalties between both teams right offhand. There were quite a few. You had 3 turnovers committed by Northeast simply on fumbles, and 2 were recovered, all 3 recovered by East High, one of which set up a touchdown pass. And then the other side of the coin, Lincoln East had so many miscues, snapping the ball, taking care of the ball, and to Northeast credit defensively, they really put pressure on that East High offense for most of the night. And East was running a 2-quarterback system. They started out with Thad Keebler, and then they went to Brennan Greesh. And they were kind of rotating backs, too, between Huxton Cott and Jake Gertz. Kyle Campbell came in for a couple of sets, too, in running the football. But, in all honesty, it was just a great game to watch, a good city game for a Thursday night to start the season. And Northeast comes away with the 20-13 win over East last night. Now, if you've got this queued up, YZ, let's play cut 1 here. Northeast gets the ball to start the game, and John Harris and I were not exactly anticipating this first play from scrimmage from Caleb Polson.
Zone read handoff. Looks like it is Polson who gets around right side. Pass at 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, down the far sideline, 40, and finally knocked out of bounds short of the East High 30-yard line at the Spartan 31.
That's a 49-yard run there for Caleb Polson, okay? And then they were, moving the ball okay, and then the drive stalled, and then, both teams went back and forth, and it was scoreless after 1, but toward the end of the first quarter, Northeast was driving. This is their 3rd drive of the game, and it ends up being in a touchdown pass. Zane Scully threw the ball well last night, and threw this pass to Caleb Polson again. This is cut 3 for this 11-yard touchdown pass.
Looking to throw, going to look toward the far corner of the end zone. Polson gets it. Touchdown, Lincoln Northeast.
Yeah, nice wheel route by Polson.
Yeah, and they did that a couple of times last night. They run the wheel route
out of the backfield.
Out of the backfield, and, Polson goes out, and that's what they did. So 7-0 at that point. Reed Mavis drills a 40-yard field goal on the next drive for East, and this is on that drive is when East shifted up personnel in the backfield. Okay, they brought in Grease, they put in Jake Gertz at tailback, and that's where they started moving the ball between the tackles. And it very impressive. Typical East High football is what we saw. But Northeast defensively stood their ground and forced the field goal from 40 yards out from Mavis. So East gets on the board. And then on the ensuing play from there, you had Scully fumble the football. Huxton Cott from East recovers it. And then cut 6 here, YZ. This is where Brennan Grease found Cott on this 20-yard touchdown pass to give East the lead.
Grease dropping back. Lob toss is complete. Over the middle to Cott, 15, 10. Can he get in there? Breaking tackles, spun in there. Touchdown, Lincoln East, and it's Huxton Cott.
So 10-7 East at that point. Mavis, do we have cut 7 on this, YZ, or not?
I can get it real quick.
Well, Mavis gets set up for a field goal. We're down to 2 seconds left before halftime, and he hit a 40-yarder. He attempts a 42-yarder here as time ran out, heading into the locker room.
Snap in the hold. Here's the kick. It is up. It's got distance. It is up, and it is good. Wow. 42-yarder as time runs out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome, John. And so 13-7 East at the break. We go to the third quarter. It was kind of back and forth again, but Northeast manages to get a drive going. This time it's Caleb Polson again, but he runs it in from 9 yards out.
Here it is. Polson the handoff, and he's going to cut left. Gets out of a tackle, back right side. He's to the 5, into the end zone. Touchdown, Lincoln Northeast.
Wow.
So we're tied at 13. August Holstein's point after attempt was blocked. So we're tied at 13. Now we go to the fourth quarter. This is going back and forth now, and neither team is budging on what they want to do on offense. But we get down to the final drive in less than 3 minutes, and Northeast starts from their own 4-yard line from the south part of Seacrest, and they got to go all the way north. So figure you're at A Street, and you got to get up to Havelock Avenue, okay? Let me put it to you that way. So we get down to the nitty-gritty. We're down to 17 seconds left here, and Scully finds Polson again on this 24-yard toss.
Snap to Scully. Looking to throw.
He's open.
He's going to man on the far corner of the end zone. Touchdown, Northeast. Touchdown, Rockets. And guess who? It is Polson.
On the wheel route again, Jeff.
On a 24-yard toss into the end zone with 17 seconds to go.
And there you have it. And really, East had opportunities with 17 seconds left to get the ball downfield and to drive it in. And, because the guys they got in that backfield with Huxton Cott, they got good receivers, but it didn't go the way that they wanted to do it. And, they burned timeout after timeout to try to get something set up. And ultimately, the final play of the game ended up being an incomplete pass. It was completely airmailed by 10, 12 yards at least. And so Northeast gets their first. You would have thought Northeast won the state title last night when they all ran out on the field and just huddled up in the south end zone. And at the same time, Northeast coaches and administrators like, no, get in line to shake hands at the 50. Get in line. I mean, those kids were really pumped up. But, this is a program that I can recall here in the last 5 years did not win a game. Okay, back-to-back years didn't win a game. And then 2 years ago, they go, I believe, 5-4, did not make the playoffs. They go 6-3 a year ago. Now, normally teams that are 6-3 get in simply because they win, the necessary amount of games in your district, which is usually 3. Northeast only had 2 district wins, and they did not get in. They got left out with a 6-3 record. But that's all changed this year. So what they're doing for the playoffs in Class A, they've eliminated all districts, and based on the PowerPoints, the top 16 teams will go to the playoffs. So if Northeast were to get to a 6-3 mark this year, their chances look great of getting into the playoffs. And they haven't been – now, outside the COVID year in 2020 where everybody got in and everybody played in the playoffs, Northeast has not been in a playoff situation since 2015. Wow. It's been a while. So, this is a program that's been slowly rebuilding, trying to build itself back up. You go up against a program traditionally that's been extremely powerful. A year ago was a quarterfinalist and almost knocked off Creighton Prep in the quarterfinals because of all those guys they had in the skill positions. And so, this is a big win for Northeast. I think for East, though, this was a must-win simply because their schedule is extremely tough, and it doesn't get any better. I think they got Elkhorn South or Elkhorn North this next week, and then they got Omaha North in 2 weeks, Standing Bear coming up after that, and then they have Kearney in town. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head based on what we're covering with their schedule. But it does not get any easier for this East football team. It really doesn't.
I mean, after Kearney, they're at Bell West. They come back home against Southwest, and they hit the road to play Millard South before they close the season against Southeast.
Yeah, that's not going to be easy. But, I still think East can be a good football team. You got some good athletes, good players, veteran players. It's the first week of the season, but a lot of miscues happened last night for both teams, and in the end it was for East, and Northeast was able to muster up a solid last-effort drive that paid off after going 96 yards. So, but again, Northeast wins 20-13. So
great way to kick off the high school football slate
that
on
was
KFOR.
That was a good game last night for sure.
Super enjoyable.
No game for us tonight. We got the Salt Dogs,
but there are some really good games. Modes.
Oh my gosh!
Southwest taking on Standing Bear. Super fascinated by that one. Lincoln Southeast has Millard West. A great week 1 matchup there.
I saw Standing Bear last Friday night against Northwest. I am fully convinced Standing Bear is going to be the sleeper, meaning that they may be able to go out and upset some teams on their schedule. If they play their cards right, if they played like they did last week against Lincoln Northwest, I think Standing Bear is a team to keep an eye on, quite frankly. With that said, Lincoln Northwest gets a win last night over Omaha Northwest. That helps, recover from what happened last week against Standing Bear. Lincoln North Star last night, triple overtime victory up at Norfolk.
Wow, what a game that was.
51-48.
Yeah, Lincoln North Star with the comeback in that second
Yeah,
half.
and that's another program to watch is North Star. You mentioned Southeast in action tonight against Millard West. Yeah, I'm very much interested in that. I'll be out at that one tonight to watch for sure.
Should be a competitive football game based on what we think we know about these teams.
Right. Based on that, you mentioned Southwest Standing Bear. That I think that's one of the games to keep an eye on because Standing Bear is going to bring their game, and they got some guys that are just brutes out there on defense. I mean, they're tough. So, and then Waverly gets a win last night out of Grand Island Northwest to stay undefeated, going back to last year's state championship run. And then there's a lot of other games. The Spirit Sword game tonight over at Aldridge Field with Lincoln Lutheran, Lincoln Christian. So, I mean, we're getting things off to a good start here. Lincoln High in action tonight as well. Everybody's in action all around the area. But the biggie in the Metro tonight, and probably this weekend, is going to be Millard North and Millard South. And there were people that were stopping by the booth last night before we went on the air. We were talking how that game, they've got so much interest in that game because of the Nebraska commits that are playing for both teams, especially Millard South, that they've either done a lottery for tickets ahead of time or they're starting to sell tickets ahead of time for the game at Buell tonight. They're anticipating a sellout. And I think Buell seats about, 9,000 to 10,000 up there?
Probably.
I mean, the visiting section bleachers on the east side, they're not near as much as you have on the west side there. If you've ever been up to Buell Stadium right outside of Millard South. And but I think that's going to be the highlight, and that's a great start to the season in the Metro for sure. But, the winner of that, obviously, we'll see if that's going to be the team that's going to kind of steer how everything's going to go in Class A. Westside gets a win last night over Creighton Prep. I thought Prep would put up a legitimate fight in that game, and Westside took care of business with them. And that just shows you how tough Westside is. But we talk about not just those teams up there, but Omaha North, Papillion La Vista South. They're all good programs. I'm hearing Omaha Westview is supposed to be really, really good this year. So the football talent in the Metro is wide, abundant, however you want to put it. It's all over the place.
And I think what I'm looking for tonight, specifically with that Millard North and Millard South team, is that's going to tell us a little bit of how competitive is Class A. Is it West Side and Millard South and everybody else, or are there some teams that are in that 3 through 6 in the poll category that can go up and challenge Millard South? What is the gap between West Side, Millard South, and everybody else? We'll find out tonight.
Yeah, we will. And here's the other thing too, guys. you've got not just the two additions here in Lincoln that are in Class A this year with Northwest and Standing Bear, but here are a couple of other programs that have been legitimately tough in Class B in Bennington and Elkhorn North. They're now Class A.
Bennington, big win last night.
Yeah, and I would not be shocked to see Bennington maybe pull out a win or two in their schedule this year with the teams they play, out of Omaha and so forth. So I'm interested to see how they can do. There's always this saying that, well, they're a Class B school, they should lose to a Class A school. No, that doesn't matter. I mean, it's not about enrollment. I mean, I would put Waverly up against a lot of Class A teams. Okay, I would put them up against a lot of Class A competition, and they would win. As for Bennington, I would do the same thing. And if you brought Scott up to Class A in a lot of sports, I would say, yeah, they would have a legitimate fight against a lot of these big-time powerhouse teams. So,
Modes, before we get you out of here, as Caleb looks up your trivia question for the day, I do need to ask you what's coming up on KFOR. As Lincoln Salt Dog season does wrap up, that kind of takes up the first 2 weeks of the high school football season, but we do have some good matchups still here upcoming.
Yeah, we won't have anything tonight, of course, and then all of next week we got the Salt Dogs at night, so we won't have any games next Thursday or Friday. So we'll resume our schedule on September 10th with Omaha North and Lincoln East at Seacrest. That is a 7 o'clock kick on Thursday night, September 10th. And then 2 weeks from tonight, September 11th, we'll have Lincoln Southeast, Lincoln Southwest. My understanding is that game will kick off at 8. It's going to be a part of a doubleheader that day at Seacrest. I can't remember the game beforehand at 4:30, but the Southeast Southwest game will be the main attraction for that game or that doubleheader that night at Seacrest. So we'll have that game here on KFOR. And by the way, you can check out the schedule up on our webpage at KFORnow.com. We got the Sportscasters Club banner on the left side of the main page. Click on that. That'll take you to the schedule and also see our fine sponsors that help make it possible for more than 70 years of bringing high school football, boys and girls basketball games on the radio.
Awesome. It's Jeff Moats with us. YZ, what you got for us this morning?
Well, we were talking about Lincoln Northeast and their big win, and we talked about their playoff struggles. When was their last playoff win, and who was it against?
Oh, my gosh, I should know this.
Very electric game, barn burner.
Boy, it would have been. Give me a general time frame.
I would have been 8 years old.
So it'd be what, 2010? Okay, 2010. And was it against? I'm going to go with Omaha North.
Close. Omaha West Side.
West Side.
They won 38-37 in overtime.
That's right.
Wow.
That was their last playoff win.
And I believe Derek Hoodger was the quarterback at Northeast. He's a part of the football, or was part of the football staff at Iowa State. And he was a very solid quarterback for Northeast back then. So I was off. So, yeah, you're right. 2010. It's been that long. Man, that's unbelievable. 16 years since their last playoff win. Now they've only played in a state championship game one time in the playoff system, and ironically it was against Omaha West Side, and West Side got their second straight state title by beating Northeast in a shutout at Seacrest. And before that, they had the mythical state champions that were crowned by the newspapers, the World Herald and the Journal Star. And the last state championship Northeast won in football was 1972. They were co-state champs with Lincoln East because when they played each other at Seacrest, the game ended in a tie. And that's how they determined the co-state champions that year. And I think that's what kind of later led to the development of the playoff system, ultimately. So
it's Jeff Moats with us here. Fridays on the morning hookup, the almanac.
The more you know, right?
The almanac, dropping the knowledge for you with high school sports.
By the way, Corn Raider, you make a good point. Yes, Bennington has way more of a chance to be the surprise team than Standing Bear. That is true.
But I think among the teams around here in Lincoln,
locally, I would say Standing Bear could be the surprise. I'm not necessarily saying on a statewide level. You're a fairly new school. It's baby steps. But yeah, locally they could be the surprise team. But I would agree, Bennington more of a chance on a statewide level to be the surprise team.
Well, full high school football season coming your way. This one always goes fast. Football season compared to basketball and compared to baseball, football always feels to me to go the fastest.
It flies.
Tune in while you can. It is a marathon, or it's a sprint of a football season, less of a marathon, and we'll have all the action coming your way on KFOR. Jeff, thanks for hanging out with us.
Have a good sports weekend, fellas.
Same to you, Mozi. Enjoy your Week 0 college football slate. We'll step aside here, and I think we have 2 or 3 minutes here before we get out for some stories that we missed. That's coming up after this. I'll tell you what, one thing I will say.
By the way,
I'll say it for the stream. I won't say it on the air because it's really not that important. Didn't love the East uniforms last night.
I
think of them being more royal blue.
They are.
And last night was like baby blue.
Well, it's the powder blue like the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah. I don't know.
But, yeah, it was interesting. There were times I had a tough time reading the numbers.
Because it was white on baby blue.
It was white on baby blue with no solid outline. So I had to kind of use the binoculars quite a bit last night to kind of zero in and see, okay, is that a 5, a 6, or an 8?
Not as the Southwest. They had like those really shiny uniforms. I'm not sure if they still wear them or not. But the
green ones,
yeah, those can get tough to read under the lights because you get like glare off the uniforms.
Yeah,
those ones were. I think they were Adidas made.
Northeast obviously stood out because of the white top with the black numerals.
Very classic feeling.
Last week, Standing Bears wasn't too bad. Northwest, they had the dark uniforms, the black uniforms with the white on it. I'm trying to think of recent years. I can remember when West Side wore all black and had the dark red numbers, and trying to read those from afar. That was really, really tough to do. So, Omaha Northwest, that's a school that you want to talk about, a school that has fallen from grace athletically. That's Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time they were relevant in a lot of sports, I mean, Damon Benning was playing there.
Yeah.
And they were terrific in baseball. Football, they were solid.
Just how things rise and fall, though, in high school football, high school sports.
Well, but, I mean, a lot of things change, the open enrollment has kind of created that. And, more schools got more kids versus the other. I mean, you've seen that all over. But there are some schools that have kind of persevered and rebounded from it, too. So, all righty, fellas. We'll talk to you later.
Enjoy your sports weekend,
I will do that. Take care. Bye-bye.
The stories we miss. The Morning Hookup.
One final time here on a Friday with the Morning Hookup. We've got 2 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, pretty much.
If anyone cares, Premier League back in action this weekend.
I care.
You care. Thank you. It's Tottenham Newcastle.
Oh, there we go.
It's a grudge match between Elijah and YZ's adoptive Premier League teams. I've been a Spurs fan for a while, so it's probably not an adoptive team for me anymore. But yeah, Tottenham Newcastle should be a fun one for us. Battle it out 11:30 tomorrow morning. I know the people out here don't care about Premier League soccer.
Just gotta say,
it's unfortunate.
What a performance by Newcastle in their first game of the year. Did end in a tie against Liverpool.
A draw.
You'll
get there. You'll get
a
there.
draw against Liverpool, but very impressed with the performance.
And people don't understand, that's a good performance to get a draw, a tie for Newcastle. Tottenham was horrible week 1. We'll see what they look like week 2. They bought 2 new players this week, which is crazy. That they had a bad week 1 performance. They just went, all right, we're just going to buy 2 new players before the transfer portal, not the transfer portal, the transfer window closes. I'm ruined by college football.
We got some MLB matchups today. We got Tariq Skubal back in Detroit. We got the Red Sox and Yankees kicking off their series for this weekend. It should be a fun one in the MLB.
The one issue, and we're don't have time to talk about it. Let's talk about it next week, is it feels like there's only like one division in MLB that's still up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
The Central and the AL side.
Central. Yeah.
That feels like everyone else, it feels like the teams that have been in the league for the last 2 months are just pulling away further and further. So that'll do it for us here on a Friday. Thanks for hanging out on this Husker Homer Friday. We'll be back with you Monday at 9 a.m. Bill Hooks makes his return from middle school, and it'll be game week. We'll have plenty to get into. Thanks for tuning in to a Friday edition of the Morning Hookup.